Hi, everyone. We are coming at you at a special time with an exclusive invitation. If you are ready to finally put a stop to symptoms of long haul, POTS, and dysautonomia.
Okay, everybody, if you didn't understand what any of those words were, then listen up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to crack the lid on this. Most importantly, if you do know what those words we're talking about and enough is enough and you're ready to know how to end this, we're going to dive right in right now.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this special exclusive invite that we've got going for you, where we're going to share some interesting information about what you can expect if you want to put an end to symptoms of POTS, long haul, and dysautonomia. I am your co-host, Anna Manuel, alongside Dr. Maggie Yu. What's going on, Dr. Maggie?
Hello, everybody. And I'm going to be getting on my soapbox today because this is a hot topic and it's been a hot topic for several weeks. But before we do, I don't want to hide the invitation. I'm going to put the invitation out front and center right now. I'm going to be inviting you guys because I am going to be doing a live training, and enough is enough. Okay. I'm talking to you who feel like you've done everything to have your long haul, POTS, and dysautonomia taken seriously. You've done everything and you've gone to every specialist, and you need a way out of this that's out of the box with out of the box results because you're sick and tired of getting the same old, this is just the way it is, or it's not real, or we don't have anybody else to send you to. There's nothing more that we can help you with. I'm here to completely be the opposite of that. There's a million things you can do for this. And in fact, I'm going to be inviting you guys to this training. So I am giving away the farm on June 13th, Thursday. It is going to be 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The doors are going to open early at 2:30. I'm putting this out front. So if you don't hear anything else, just go ahead and do the QR code and register to see me there on Thursday because I want to meet you and work with you guys live. That's right up front and center. And why we are talking about this today is because that's the special invite. And we're going to share in the link also in the comment section everywhere, a link for you to register to join this training on Thursday because truly I am... let's just say, we've had interviews and this past, we've had interviews with Joel Fram talking about his journey, 4-year journey with long haul. We have also, I've done a live show about, is long haul POTS and dysautonomia fake?
Because some doctors still believe, yes, it is. These are fake.
Yes, these are fake. Okay.
Yeah, like you said, most doctors. And I know so many people in our audience have experienced that as well. In fact, I want to take an opportunity to say hello. There are so many of you watching and commenting. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Give us a hello. Tell us where you're watching from. And also tell us, what kinds of symptoms are you dealing with? Is any of what Dr. Maggie's saying ring true to your story? Have you been dealing with these symptoms and you've gone from doctor to doctor and you're not getting any help and you still don't feel well and you're just desperate to start feeling better and feeling like yourself again? Let us know what's been going on with you. We want to hear from you. Dr. Maggie loves to get your information so that she can help out.
Here's the thing is we already did an interview with a classic case that Joel Fram shared with us, and he's at the peak of his career. He's a professional conductor, of the recently multi-nominated show Merrily We Roll Along. He is at the height of his career, and he is at one of the top medical centers in the world around long haul. And 4 years later, he still has tons of residual symptoms, right? And this is typical of what's out there for people getting the $1 million workup, right, which he has had. And yet how many people out there have had the $1 million workup or hasn't even had that, and they're searching around for diagnoses, yet have tons and tons of symptoms? I'm just going to give you guys some medical facts here. So over 65 million people in the world have been diagnosed with long haul. Okay, that's just long haul. We're not even including POTS or dysautonomia. And long haul, less than 1/3 of the people have an official diagnosis. 2/3 of people, in my experience, don't even have a diagnosis because there is no blood test to diagnose it. No. Okay, so all the $1 million workups are negative.
And so that is why, and it's really that the crux of why many doctors say, this isn't real. There's no way to diagnose it. And there's no real way to see some of these symptoms. So we don't believe it.
That's one of the reasons, right? So we call that the diagnostic bias. So we're only limited to pay attention to things that we can easily diagnose. And that's the bias. If you have something that's not easily diagnosed, and I call these invisible illnesses. If you have an invisible illness, and long haul POTS and dysautonomia certainly are in there because we look normal. It strikes the healthy too. You know, it can be anybody that looks completely normal on the outside, and yet we have tons of symptoms. And these are measurable symptoms of things like blood pressure changes, heart rate changes, depression, anxiety, brain fog, fatigue, right? You can have digestive gut changes, right? You can have, you know,
Sierra is mentioning, and I know some of those can go hand in hand with long haul as well.
Well, like how would, and most doctors out there, 99 point, okay, all doctors out there are not going to associate difficulty swallowing, worsening food sensitivities, asthma, allergies, GERD, or worsening thyroid conditions, for example, being linked with an attack by long haul, right? Or being linked with a condition that's also hard to diagnose, like POTS with dysautonomia. But this is the classic pattern that Sierra is pointing out right here, is there's all these different symptoms. And everybody in chat, if you could tell me what some of your symptoms are, that'll be really great. Because we're going to break the lid open on it, because I have so much to say. You know, like, you don't need an official diagnosis of something that has no official blood test to diagnose it. Okay. We don't need an official diagnosis to want to get help and turn it around.
Well, Shelby here is saying she didn't even realize this has been so eye-opening, what you've just said in these first few minutes, Dr. Maggie, because lately she's been checking her trusty Apple Watch and noticing, whoa, my heart rate's going up to 130 when I just go from sitting to standing.
Right.
Classic right? For what you're talking about.
Well, look at Olivia here in YouTube watching as well. She has POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which means that there's no blood test for POTS. It means the words describe the symptoms, which is when she changes positions, her blood pressure or heart rate changes, causing fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, nausea, fainting. Right? That's what POTS is a description of the symptoms. She got the diagnosis, should be just having the symptoms, because there's no blood test to really diagnose that. And then MCAS is mast cell activation syndrome, which is more and more histamine and allergy related responses. By the way, that's linked with POTS dysautonomia as well as long haul, right? And so no wonder she has dysautonomia. And then this is linked with hormones, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. How many acronyms do we need here for Olivia or somebody else to have? Next thing we know, we're going to have to send the FBI on this situation.
Well, Dr. Maggie, you'll use your MD smarts to be able to get rid of some of these acronyms, because that's exactly what I've seen you do time and time again. You can say goodbye to this stuff. You don't.
Okay, I'm going to say F the MD because it's functional MD. Functional medicine MD. I almost think that being an MD, a medical doctor that's conventionally trained, puts us at a disadvantage for realizing and treating something with multiple causes, multiple patterns, multiple symptoms throughout the body. I feel like the MD is the poorest, most ill-equipped doctor to actually deal with this, because the causes are so many underneath. We're not trained to deal with all like patterns and root causes at all whatsoever.
Well, that's what Jill says. You know, she's got several invisible illnesses, and no regular doctor, no regular MD gets it.
Right. Exactly. And Marcella is saying, thank you so much for this, because for me, I want to change the conversation. I don't think, like Marcella, I don't think we should be having a conversation are these invisible illnesses fake? We know they're real. Okay. Stop the BS, stop the medical gaslighting. I'm done with that. Okay. What I'm here to do is, what are we going to do about it to turn this around? And people, I've worked with thousands of people to turn this around. Okay. I have people that within a matter of weeks have had complete resolution, resolving of their symptoms. Okay.
No, it's true. I just did an interview this week, actually.
Really?
Yes. I did an interview yesterday. What is today? Tuesday. I did an interview yesterday with somebody who had been dealing with these symptoms after getting, let's just say, booster. Okay. I'm just going to say the word booster. She started dealing with a lot of a sudden onset of symptoms, to include all of a sudden she went from having historically low blood pressure to high blood pressure. And she was incredibly fatigued, and she had insomnia, and she had a host of pain. She had pain and inflammation all of the sudden. And within weeks of being in your program, and now when I spoke to her, she was 11 weeks through from working with you. So she was a little bit out, and they were all gone. All of her symptoms were gone.
That's 11 weeks, people. How many years? Type in chat, how many years have you had your symptoms? Because sometimes when people write in the years, they think that that's going to be like some major obstacle for me. I
Yeah.
don't care if it's 8 days, 8 weeks, 8 months, or 8 years. This is a reversible condition. These are reversible invisible illnesses.
Yeah. And I think that is what is so unique for some people to hear, because they don't hear that anywhere else. In fact, the person that I was interviewing yesterday, doctors, and it was like, you were the clear cut choice, because nobody else was saying, the things that made sense. You know how to get to the root cause of these issues and tackle them from a holistic approach. And you have results. You have so many people. I mean, I can't tell you how many interviews I've done that it's the same story of Dr. Maggie got me feeling better.
Well, here's the thing, like, there is no doctor in the world who says I can turn around long haul POTS or dysautonomia. Okay. Find me that doctor. Right. So for me, it's really critical. That's why I'm inviting you guys to this live Thursday that I'm going to be doing, because I think there's huge problems with people getting stuck on diagnoses. Number one. Number two, getting doctors that believe it's real. Number three, even the best doctors, natural cause doctors, don't really know what are the real underlying causes of POTS or long haul or dysautonomia. I do. And if you don't know what the underlying causes are, you're not going to know how to fix it.
And is this some of what you're going to discuss on Thursday?
It is. And we're going to get into it. But I am going to tell you guys a couple things. Like, what started this whole thing was I've been doing a series of podcast interviews talking about my latest book, 8 Out of the Box Ways to Transform Your Health. And I talk about POTS and dysautonomia a lot in the book. And interestingly, as I've been going on these podcasts and interviews, that's been the biggest questions from practitioners and podcasts for me was, wait, you know how to turn around POTS or dysautonomia? I'm like, yeah. And it ended up, every single one of these interviews turned out to be about these topics. So a couple interviews, I know the Good Health podcast with Dr. Nicole Good is just got featured. That just went live. So if you guys want to hear that conversation, she's an incredible functional medicine doctor and a wonderful podcast. And we really talked about how long haul autoimmunity are really linked, digestion and the links with there. So podcasts are really a great way that's blowing the lid and getting the word out that these are solvable problems. So Dr. Good's podcast is called the Good Health Podcast. Who wants the link in chat, type the word good, GOODE, and put that in chat. We'll get you the link to that podcast. The other podcast that I was on was with a bunch of Canadian mental health practitioners, and that's called Awake at the Wheel. And Awake at the Wheel is going to go live tomorrow with the podcast. And it was about the role of these invisible illnesses on mental health and how long haul POTS dysautonomia are solvable problems. And so it impact on mental health. And I'm going to ask you guys, how many of you with these symptoms started to have mental health symptoms that you never had before? Right?
I know I did. I know for sure. I was having POTS-like symptoms, and right hand in hand with that, the anxiety could be crushing at times because of it. And I'm thinking, is it because of the symptoms? Is it because I'm worried about the symptoms? Where is it coming from? And it's this cyclical thing. And I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah. And so for me, like, literally this lit a fire under me, because after talking to Joel's interview and then I did about 14 podcast interviews and interviews over the last 2 weeks. Everybody was like, this is not something we've heard before. This is doctors, providers, nurse practitioners, functional medicine experts. And they're like, what you're saying here is completely out of the box. I have not heard this, but it makes total sense. And I was like, okay. So that's why we're providing this training, just FYI, right? So let's talk about, and those of you, I just shared Awake at the Wheel. That podcast is going live tomorrow morning. I believe that's what I've been told. So I want to share the link with you guys to Awake at the Wheel if you want to hear that interview all around mental health and these invisible illnesses, right?
I love it. Yeah. And so many people are chiming in saying, yes, they experienced some of the same kinds of things that I was just talking about. And it doesn't help that the doctors tell you that it's in your head or make you feel that way. And this is not just happening to us, everyday people. This is also happening to celebrities, Dr. Maggie, which I know is another topic that you recently discussed, because Halsey came out saying, POTS-like symptoms among other
Here's the diagnosis. Think about, okay, listen to what we just were talking about, and let's talk about the 5 diagnoses that Halsey was diagnosed with. Number 1, she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, lupus. She was diagnosed with the second autoimmune disease, Sjogren's. That's not surprising to me. If you have one, you're gonna have multiple. Number 3, POTS. Okay. Number 4, mast cell activation syndrome. And then number 5, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which a lot of people think is genetic and they don't even realize it's one of the autoimmune diseases that's linked to all of these, all connected, right? So this is happening where more and more, even celebrities are coming out. Bethany Frankel has POTS.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that, and she said she couldn't get answers, and she was having a lot of really disturbing symptoms. And again,
people don't have answers. This is the problem.
People don't have answers. And it's interesting to me, maybe you're only, and I'll say only, even though POTS is awful to deal with, but maybe that's your one diagnosis right now. But it's, you just mentioned, okay, Halsey has 5 diagnoses. So it's like, when are we waiting for the other shoe to drop? Because you know something else is coming. If your body is malfunctioning and under attack, Dr. Maggie, is it only really a matter of time before something else malfunctions?
Exactly. And this is why, to me, one of the things that I'm going to be talking about is, are there certain people that are a vulnerable population that when they get long haul, it's not just, oh, we don't get long haul. Are there families and are there people that are genetically more prone or have certain types of hormone profiles or certain digestive patterns make them more prone to not just get the big C, but to have long haul associated with it? Are there people who are more prone to get POTS and dysautonomia, right? And the answer is yes, yes, and hell yes. And so, you know, it's really great because we just had on our in our program a 15-year-old, and we were reviewing her results with mom and dad in our together with our community, going over results together. And I asked this question, and I'm going to ask this question of all of you guys, okay? Would you want to kill Godzilla when he's ginormous, running around town, stepping on the hotel, ripping up the freeway? Is that when you say, now I want to do something about it? Or do you want to kill Godzilla while he's an egg?
Before he grows up to be a beast?
Yes. And so here's the thing. The earlier you intervene with action, the smaller that problem is. And so I'm talking to people. I'm like, if you're here to learn and get education, great. Lots of YouTube videos I posted on this. But specifically, I'm interested in people who want to kill Godzilla while he's an egg. And the sooner the better. Meaning that the earlier you intervene and do something, what action steps do you need to take to intervene? Those are the people that I really want to come, and action takers who are ready to do something different. Okay, ready to do something different here, because early intervention is really critical and decisive action is really key. So I'm interested in talking to action takers.
And with that said, yes, it's great to jump on this as fast as possible, but whether you've had something for 1 year or 25 years, like Jill here saying, 25 years of GI issues, and Dr. Maggie fixed 95% of it in just 12 weeks.
That's typical result.
Results typical. I love that. You often see results not typical. Well, with you, results typical.
Well, and that's the interesting thing is sometimes people think, and this is a really common question we get asked. Again, I'm going to answer it right now. People will sometimes ask us, like, maybe I'm not sick enough to get help. That's one question. And then somebody will also ask, maybe I'm too sick to get help. Okay. And what happens is, in their world, they think that they're on the edge of a bell curve. So in statistics, we have what's called a bell curve, a bell in the middle. And so there are people who are really early, and there are people who are supposedly too late. And they think that they have their own definition of what they think the bell curve is. So most people think that they are an outlier in the bell curve. They think that they're either not sick enough or they're too sick to get help. And they don't realize that in my bell curve, they're in the freaking middle. They're in the freaking middle. In my world and in my bell curve, you're in the middle. And part of their own obstacle is they think they're in either ends of the bell curve, and so they don't get help. And in fact, to me, both ends actually need the most help, right? But no matter what you think you are, not sick enough, or you think you're too sick, you're in the middle of my bell curve, which is the people that will benefit the most from getting this taken care of now.
Yeah. And Jill, an alumni, is using your lingo, your terminology here, saying zebras. Yeah. You feel like a super rare zebra, but in Dr. Maggie's program, you're not. You're still special, but you're not
Well,
special in a sick kind of way.
well, is Jill a zebra because she's had symptoms for 8 years?
Mhm.
Is Jill too sick to get help? Or is she not sick enough in your world? Right.
Right.
So, and every single one of these, and I remember Olivia with all her symptoms, somebody might think all those acronyms, she's too sick to get help. I'm like, okay, I'm a fan of the cursey words. One is coming out right now. And I know Jimmy Ryan, you're a fan. And I think you're around 7 or 8. So Jimmy Ryan, you might have to like turn this off down right now, or Jimmy Ryan's parents. But I when someone tells me that they're too sick to get help, and that might be coming from them, or it might even be coming from their doctor. I call that BS. BS. Okay. And if you're hearing that from a doctor, I call that medical gaslighting. Even worse.
Dr.
Okay?
Maggie, let me just put your hand in front of your camera for just a second to bring you back in focus. Yeah, we went. There she is. Okay, you just want to see your face in all its glory.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, you were talking about it's BS. It's just gaslighting. And you also brought up little Jimmy Ryan, who we had the cutest segment with last
Fan
week.
mail.
He wrote the sweetest letter to you, Dr. Maggie, just proving you have fans truly of all ages, all over the world as well.
Horrible.
Because you are connecting with people and you're giving out advice, information that they've never heard anywhere else.
Well, Jimmy asked a really good question. One of the questions Jimmy asked was, do you know what your infections are? And I just thought that was amazing coming from a 7 or 8-year-old kid, because he's asking the right questions, right? He's really starting to ask the right questions. For me, it's not, is the diagnosis real or fake? The question is not, is this free? And that's another question I get asked all the time. I'm like, is it free to work with you? And the answer is, would you be asking if your house had pipes that were like spilling out everywhere and squirting water all over your house, and this is an emergency at 2 a.m., would you be calling the plumbers and asking them, are your services free?
Right.
I'd be like, who the heck could come over and fix this problem? This is huge, right? But it's kind of interesting, it's like we get all sorts of interesting questions. And I think, like, what is the most important question you should ask when you're dealing with a chronic illness? And this applies to Halsey, applies to Bethany Frankel, and it's going to apply to you. And the question should be, what do I need to do to end this? And how do I get to the front of the line?
And you have a very specific system that you've developed.
Yeah.
And you know exactly how to get to, the answers that are needed, the root cause of the issues, and then more importantly, what to do about it after that.
Yeah. And that's why for me, and it's not as simple, here's the magic pill, buy my magic pill. Okay. If somebody tells you that, run.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone says, like literally, like, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, and it means that you're going to take these magic pills, and this is going to solve your really complex 5 giant medical invisible illnesses, run.
And but that is what so many people do want. And if they can't get that magic pill, they don't want anything to do with it. And if that's you, then this isn't right for you, because you're not really ready to do the work to get well.
Well, it takes work. You know what the most work is being sick. I just talked to somebody who has already lost like 20 pounds just over the last 60 days from her illness, who is basically on the verge of canceling, or basically can't even go on vacations that she's already paid for, missed vacations. This has impacted on her work, her ability to work and make an income. It's impacted also, she's in school. She's getting a master's degree. It's impacting and may have to drop out of school. And for me, it's like the cost of being sick is absolutely unacceptable. The cost and the quality of your life and on your family's life is absolutely unacceptable, right? So for me, it's really important for people to recognize that there is a price for staying sick and not doing something different to get better sooner, right? So those things to me are unacceptable. I had a really funny conversation with another content creator, and he was talking about how, the level of medical gaslighting and denial of care because of insurance is insane. Like the guy had a meniscus, like a really bad knee pain. and needed an MRI, right? But medical insurance is denying. And he's like, I don't even care. Like, I'm going to make a bold statement. Okay. The bold statement is, if I only got the care that my insurance paid for or approved, I would have been dead 3 times already.
Wow.
And so we had and he said, I had gone outside my insurance. I called every MRI facility within like 100-mile radius and just said, I want to freaking pay for an MRI. Can I just get an MRI? Because the insurance said, you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. And so he ended up, and I said, this is exactly what I have to do. This is what I had to do. Like literally, like the blue stripe right here, you guys, is a medical procedure that I had to pay for completely out of my pocket because it was medically necessary that insurance would deny payment for.
But
right?
you needed this.
Correct. So I, as a doctor, know the kind of care that I need, and I train people on the kind of care that we need. And some of it is with your conventional doctor, and you're trying to get it covered under insurance, and you can't. Then we have to go outside of that, because the cost of me not dealing with this is unacceptable. I can't not be able to work with my right arm. This is my livelihood, right? And not to mention like the endless nights of suffering and tossing and turning with pain from a torn bicep tendon, right?
Your happiness and quality of life. And look at Jill. She says she lost 20 years of time that she could have taken trips and enjoyed her children when they were young.
Here's the interesting thing, though. If it was up to my insurance, they would pay for a $10,000 surgery to fix this, but I don't need surgery. I just needed a $700 injection that they won't approve.
So I'm hearing the message loud and clear.
Right?
Figure out what it is you need. And if, insurance isn't always going to cover what you need, but if it's going to get you feeling well, what is the value of that?
And it's just a different way of weighing like cost and true cost, putting a price on the cost of suffering and delaying of care, those kinds of issues. But I digress. That wasn't what this was about, but like I had a bee in my bonnet. People value health until they lose it. There's actually a really famous quote, and I always forget, like the living man has 1,000 wishes, but the dying man has but one. Right? It's something to that effect. And I think about that. But here's the cool deal. We're going to go into Thursday. Here's what you guys are going to expect. By the way, first thing first, register, okay? And if you want to cut the line, you're like, I don't even need to watch training. I just want to work with you to fix this problem. Book a call with us, okay? Scan that, book a call with our team, because we have multiple different programs that attack different root causes on long haul POTS, dysautonomia, autoimmune disease, you name it, mast cell activation, right? I work with the impossible invisible illnesses. And the harder the problem is, the more I laugh at danger. So it's true. It's actually from A Land Before Time. I don't know how many people are out there that have watched.
I love it. I have the books from when I was a child.
Okay, in there is a dinosaur. I think her name is Petrie. Okay, and here's a famous line from Petrie that I've adopted. That is one of my slogans. I laugh at danger. And so if you want to book a call with our team to get a customized plan on what it's going to take to end this problem or these problems with your health, scan that code and book a call with our team. Action takers. So if you're the ultimate action taker, you want to jump the line, get to the results fast, book a call with our team, get there first. Okay. Number one. Number two, if you want to interact with me live, okay, because I love to troubleshoot problems live. See me in action live. I want to see you in action because I'm here to work with action takers. So book, register for this event. It's going to be on Thursday. I'm going to be training. I'm going to go into root causes. There are going to be case studies. There are hundreds of people I've worked with who are going to be joining us in this call as well. So you know what? Meet real heroes and people who've actually conquered this. Don't take it from me. See real people with the real results.
Okay, this is great. This is great information, because that's what I really wanted to know is, what can we expect on Thursday? So you've said you're going to talk about some root causes. You're going to have people who have overcome the same issues that the viewers today are watching. You're also going to potentially have a chance to interact, Dr. Maggie?
Potentially. I'm all about interaction. Just so you guys know, another question I get asked is, you work online. Does that mean that that means that there's no human interaction? And I was like, I'm live with you right now online, and I am interacting with you live. What part of this? Like, it's so, I actually believe in an extreme level of human interaction. And in fact, I believe in interaction above and beyond what you ever receive in a clinical setting. That's how I get shit done. Okay. So expect human interaction, expect to engage, expect you're going to be interacting, because that's how I roll. And everybody who's been in my programs, type in chat how much human interaction, intervention, and action is there. Every single interaction with me online and with our team online, type it in chat. Okay. So I love this.
Yeah, I love it. And Jill says live with Dr. Maggie is wonderful because you get so much time as you're working with you both in the program, but then also in Transform University, the amount of videos and information and knowledge that you are bringing into our homes. My husband started to think that you were, should be paying rent because you were on our house so much.
I've had many people tell me that I'm the third person in the marriage because their spouses is taking me to bed.
That's our show.
Sorry, Jimmy Ryan, that kind of show. But anyway, expect to bring all your. I would love for you guys to come in. Expect to be interacting. I want to hear about what your history is. I want to know what you've done that hasn't worked, and then we're gonna literally. I'm gonna tell you the exact steps that people who are successfully turning this around need to take. Boom, boom, boom. Completely action-packed oriented. Be prepared to take notes and to take action.
Okay. What else do we need to know about, who should sign up? Who should come to this?
If you're ready to do something different, enough is enough. Okay. So I honestly I think if you want to be entertained or educated, I have tons of YouTube content on that about learning more about what those diagnoses and what to do about it. I'm most interested in talking to people who are ready to kick ass, take names, and chew bubble gum.
I love it. I'm so excited for so many people to really have some eye-opening information. It sounds like on Thursday to not only hear about root causes, but to hear from people who have been in their situation and have really lived it and walked in their shoes.
Well, and you want to see proof. Like for me, if you're interested in seeing the real people who've turned this around, I mean, we have tons of people we've worked with, in case studies on YouTube. And by the way, those of you that are watching on YouTube right now, make sure you give me a boom in chat. I want to know how many people are watching on YouTube. And by the way, do you guys know that less than 10% of you that are watching are subscribed to my YouTube channel? So this is how we feed the algorithm gods on YouTube and get this message out. So make sure you click subscribe right now and ring the bell. And once you've done that on YouTube, and I'm going to put the link if you're not watching on YouTube so you can join us on YouTube. Make sure once you've subscribed and ring the bell, put done in the comment section. I want to see who are the action takers who've done this. Okay. How many people are done? And those who are watching on YouTube, Cindy, I love it. You're writing boom. Thank you, Kim Stone. Yeah, I love it.
Booms everywhere. Yes, yes.
I love the doers who are in our program and yeah, I love this. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And those of you who jump over to YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell. Okay. Make sure you get notified every time we go live. And I want to see every single one of you and you know what? Here's the deal. Sharing is caring. I'm going to ask you guys, if this doesn't apply to you at all, I'm going to have a big ask. Make sure you tag or share this video with someone you know that's dealing with long haul, POTS, dysautonomia, or they have another invisible illness like Ehlers-Danlos, autoimmune disease of every and any kind, mast cell activation, chronic fatigue syndrome. If they have any and all invisible illnesses, tag them in this because they're going to benefit from the training, because I promise you, I'm not only going to be talking about long haul, POTS, and dysautonomia. They're just examples of some of the most visible invisible illnesses that I have for breakfast.
And Dr. Maggie, at the beginning, you mentioned the statistics and how many people alone are just dealing with symptoms of long haul. And the number is staggering.
Yeah.
When you add in the number of untold people dealing with POTS and dysautonomia and so many other related issues of invisible illness.
Yeah.
This is a huge population of people who really need help. And so surely I know the people that are watching, there's many of you out there who also need this help and will be joining on Thursday. But like Dr. Maggie said, think about these people in your life and make sure to tell them this is a way to start getting help.
Well, and I'll tell you something, like, there's a lot of people out there who claim they're skeptics, right? And you don't have to believe me. In fact, come in and look at some real life case studies that we're going to be. There's going to be. I don't know who's going to be all in the audience, but we have invited all our alumni as well. Anybody who's done any of our programs to come in and join us, and they'll be in the audience. So we'll be asking questions, and they'll be answering it. So I call them my student teachers. Anybody who's done any of our programs, you guys are all invited. We're going to be sending you guys. They already know that they're invited, and they're going to be jumping in. So I want you to actually be in a community of people who have conquered this. So join the community of successful people, because there is no other community of successful people who've turned around long haul pots of dysautonomia. This is your one chance to join this community. People who successfully have turned it around, and hear from them.
It's so exciting. And I know it's going to be an inspiring afternoon or evening, depending on which time zone you're in. Again, I believe you said it's 3 p.m. There it is, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Eastern time. But you could watch from anywhere in the world. Just go ahead and get that QR code and get registered. You do have to register, correct?
You have to register to join, and there will be no replay. So we don't play, people. So I'm not playing. So you coming. You're coming. I'm giving away the farm. I'm coming, and I'm coming for you.
She's on the farm. Dr. Maggie on the farm. Okay, she's giving it all away. So this is a rare event. So I'm excited for people to get a chance to take advantage of it. I know people are saying, can't wait in the comments. I'm going to be there.
And hey, if you're already registered, registered in chat. I want to see how many of you have already registered, because I already know we have hundreds of people already registered. So if you are one of those that have already registered, put it in chat, registered. Okay, that'd be great. Put registered in chat. I would love to see how many of you guys have already registered.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and maybe you're going to say, wait till Thursday, Ann, but is there any little teaser of some juicy tidbit that you're going to share on Thursday that you wanted to share now, maybe, and say, hey, if you come Thursday, we're going to talk more about this specifically?
The number one genetic predisposition for long haul POTS and dysautonomia is...
Ooh. ... Love it. Okay. So the number one genetic predisposition for these things. That's fascinating. And now the wheels are turning. Okay. Do I potentially have that genetic predisposition?
Well, does my kid have that? So right. Would I have to be more careful if my kid happens to get the big C?
And are there things I can do to mitigate? Are there ways are there action steps I can take now to avoid a loved one like my
yes.
Kid? Okay. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
That's what's coming for you.
Coming for you on Thursday. Okay. Oh, thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Maggie. Really appreciate it. I know it's going to be a lot of great information. People are saying, yes, registered. I'm registered. People are all commenting. They're ready to go.
God, I can't wait. That's gonna be so much fun. And you know, guys, I love to interact with you guys in person. I love creating content on social media, but for me, the reason I like it's connection. And all these comments that are coming in is what I live for. And I read every comment. And if you post any questions, things that I'm gonna like, if there's a question you want me to answer live on Thursday, put it in chat right now, because I'm going to read every single one of those questions and comments. I'm going to bring it on Thursday. So put it in chat. That'll be amazing. Thank you.
We have had some questions and comments kind of simultaneously coming in that I know you're going to get a chance to see. So thank you, and keep those comments coming. I know there's a lot of you here watching live with us.
Okay, that's a wrap. I'll see you guys. Be there, be square on Thursday. Register.
Dr. Maggie, thank you for taking the time to not only give us information and make sure everybody knows that this is happening on Thursday, but also for putting this on Thursday. And if you want more information, like she said, you can also scan that QR code and book a call with the team to get right down to business.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Coming to you on what? Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, and we're all summary. Bye, everybody.
Bye.